Shalom Akim, it's your brother Malcolm. I'm from Chicago GMS camp. I'm coming at you with this truth. I'd like to first and foremost give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bashem Hawashai. Double honors unto the apostles of GMS, the true elders and leaders of Israel that are upon earth today. All right? And salutations to the Akim out there who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. We are truly living in the last days, man. These are the last moments of the last days. Before I get into the lesson, quick news update. I saw it on the news and then last night. And, of course, the brother Ratazawanya, who we affectionately refer to as Saint Benji, the brother did an awesome video on it. But Russia and Japan just made, a $1 billion deal, man. And you have to understand that Japan is is a major ally to America. There are a lot of American bases in Japan, man. So that's a serious blow. And so, and I think the video is called Russia's Making Its Rounds, and they are, because all these, that's that Ezekiel 38 coming to life, man. All these nations that were once with thee are now against thee, and Russia is collecting up American allies. But with that, let's go ahead and get into this lesson. Back into the book, If One Dies, Get Another, by Matthew J. Mancini, The Convict Leasing in America South, 1866 to 1928. All right, now I'm in the labor section, and part 2 of the labor section. So I think this is number 3 in the series. It says, just as convict managers spoke routinely of the first, second, and third class hands, so also they used categories of labor discipline that derived from slavery times. Categories like gang and task systems. One term has arisen in the post-war years like squads. While the evidence is less abundant on the organization of labor than on the classification of convicts, it does appear that most leased convicts were worked by task. That is, they were required to meet and output quotas. Could be the source of terrible suffering. So, it's kind of like if you saw the movie 12 Years a Slave. The slaves in that movie at that cotton plantation, which was played by that what's his name? I'm trying to remember the name of that fake Jew. He played Magneto in the X-Men series. The Israeli guy. Well, I don't know if he's Israeli or not, but he's definitely Jewish. And I can't think of his name right now. But he played the slave master, and he would calmly read off their task, and when they didn't meet a certain quota, they would get beaten. That's cruel, man. To live your life that way. And he would beat the slaves, and the same slaves he would beat, he would wake up in the middle of the night to make them entertain him in his house, knowing that they had to get up at 0 dark 100 and then go meet that quota, which most of them would come short of it. Some of them just shy of it, and they would get beaten anyway. All right? Without question, the reintroduction of the system of gang labor reminiscent of slavery was the aim of planners in immediate postbellum years. Gang labor was highly independent, brutally efficient, and immensely productive way of organizing a labor force. The opinion of planters of the southern whites generally after the war was the only under such a system could production with black labor take place. Under slavery, the most common method of organizing work routines was the gang system, which under the field hands was divided into gangs commanded by drivers who were to work them at a brisk pace. Kenneth Stamp explains, the purpose of the gang system was to force every hand to continue his labor until all were discharged from the field in the evening. Work gangs achieved their high efficiency levels by means of cruel assembly line pace. Large plantations usually divided field laborers into 2 gangs, the hoe gangs and the plow gangs, and the labor of each pressure on the pace of each other. It was apart from the interdependence that the high production levels of the slave era were achieved. With that, let's go to James the 5th chapter. Quick scripture. This is James 5, and read 4 and 5. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them have reaped are entered into the ears of Yahweh of Sabaoth. And that's his armies, man, the Lord of armies, man. That's what this talking about. And that armies at 144,000, man. Which, when the 144,000 are unleashed upon the world, the army of the saints, which the saints are Israelites, which also will have angelic powers. You got to find out that God's not all love, man. Verse 5. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth. You have been one time. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. So yeah. And that's talking about mainly about you Edomites, man. There is a recompense and a payback coming, man. And it's coming fast. The task of each slave is separate, and perfect work can rarely be traced to the neglectful worker. It says a prolonged struggle was a sharecrop system, means by which former slaves achieved a treasure amount of independence from supervision, as well as family-based work arrangements, while owners traded off somewhat lower output levels for lower levels of costs, of supervision and costs. Yeah, except they would come and have their way with your wives and your daughters. And you saw that plainly in that movie that coon Forrest Whitaker and the super coon Oprah Winfrey did, man. All right, when the guy came in and had his way with Mariah Carey. All right, or with Mariah Scary, because, you know, she done had a lot of sperm samples over her lifespan. All right, that's for sure. All right, so they could have picked someone else to play that role, but anyway, it says, as relations between laborers and landowners settled routine that, however oppressive, was one in which black laborers retained a measure of control over the conditions of their work. Both gang and squad passed away from the contract labor scene, but both would be reincarnated in the South convict labor practices. All right, let's go to Isaiah 54, because deliverance and vengeance is coming, man. Let's go to Isaiah 54th chapter. And it reads 54. What am I reading? 1 through 4. It says, sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear, break forth into singing and cry aloud, that thou didst not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith Yahweh. Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of the inhabitants. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. Fear not that thou shalt not be ashamed, neither thou shalt be confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame. For thou shalt forget thy shame of thy youth, and thou shalt not remember the reproach of the widowhood anymore. So this shame that has been put upon our people, this history, this torment, the torment of Esau and the heathens is going to be so great and so long that people are going to forget that we even went through anything. That's how bad it's going to be. All right, this is going to be, yet as horrible as it is and horrible as it has been. This will be yet a small chastisement, as in comparison. Continuing on, the evidence shows that what happened under convict leasing was a fusion of most slave-like means of labor. Again, I remind you, this is all after slavery, what we're reading about. Okay? It says the gang and the tech, once again, also showing you that Esau is also the one who sets up gangs. Because they were worker forces here, but they were set up to be street gangs later. Esau's behind all that, man. Okay? Because that was how he keep you in trouble. to keep you going back and forth to his prison systems. Right. And you jakes, you dummies fall for it, man. You go out in the street and you do that stupid shit, selling loud or whatever, and you end up in their system, man. There it is. However, there were many local variations of the theme, as well as different types of labor organizations for different products in convict labor. On plantations, the gang predominantly, while in the mines, convicts will work by task. Hybrid quality of convict leasing emerges when one inspects the matter more closely. However, for gangs on the prison plantation of Texas and Mississippi had to meet a quota, while task-driven miners in Alabama and Tennessee, workers in small gangs usually referred to by officials as squads. And these words that I'm using, I hear in rap songs all the time. My squad, that whole sort of thing. All right? The first order of business was to accomplish not only the labor agents, the criminal justice apparatus was systematically geared for the collection of labor, while black Southerners certainly were responsible for a considerable measure of lawlessness and crime. It is also the case that the law themselves were biased against what was perceived as Negro behavior, and the enforcement even of ostensibly neutral statutes worked to incarcerate blacks in numbers far out proportion to their number in society at large. So they just created these bullshit laws that would get you locked up simply because of the color of your skin. If you looked a certain way, if you responded a certain way, all right, they were biased laws, unfair, all right. The Southern states wrote a criminal law and created such Negro crimes as incitement to insurrection and criminal trespass. In Georgia, hunting and fishing was made seasonal. In several other states, what had been a minor act of theft were changed to felony. So that's why you have to get a license to hunt or to fish, because a lot of jakes had no other way of feeding themselves. So they would actually go out and hunt and they would fish, but then you would get locked up for trying to feed yourself or your family, man. You get locked and you end up in a prison gang for feeding your children, for feeding your wife, for feeding yourself, man. But you niggas and spiggers want to stay in this society, man. You want this place to go on forever. And not to mention the wealth, the businesses that were created from this, they're still around today. A lot of you might even be employed by some of these places, man. Because a lot of them just changed their names, which in lesson number 4, that's going to come out. Okay? It says I read that. As Atlanta sociologist Monroe Work wrote in 1906, laws as vagrancy, disorder, contracts for work, chattel mortgages, crop liens are also drawn as to involve the coils of the law, the ignorant, unfortunate, and careless Negroes, and to lead to their degradation and undue punishment when their real need is inspiration, knowledge, and opportunity. They weren't giving them that. They were making them, putting them in desperate situations, and then when Jake would react, you'd get put in jail, man. So just to go out and try to fish or hunt to feed yourself or your family would land you into a prison gang, and you'd be there for years and at a time, man. You come back, your wife has got other children with other men. Esau has destroyed your family. You don't know what, you know the shit that happens, man. Right? Furthermore, the same behavior that could be lauded was engaged in by whites could result in the convict labor for blacks. So there's plenty of movies on that, man. Even the movie Rosewood, a white man beat and raped a woman, and she came outside and said it was a nigger. And they ended up burning the whole town, beating and killing Jake, man, murdering him. And that happened over and over again. And they knew. And then it comes out later on in the movie that all the men who were doing the killing, they were well aware that it was a white man that did it. But it was an excuse for them to just murder, kill, and pillage in the black areas. And a lot of them were angry that those Negroes were well-to-do, were doing better than them. Because when Jake is actually given the opportunity to advance, they do advance better than Esau, and they're historical records and proof of it. And every time they did, Esau came in and destroyed those neighborhoods, those businesses, and those areas where they were prospering. Why? Because this is in your rest, man. You You got to stop trying to seek comfort in your captivity, man. Most comfort you might have enough to feed yourself. The Lord might bless you with a decent woman. The Lord might bless you to where you have a decent job. But outside of that, man, you shouldn't be looking for too much comfort in this kingdom. Besides, when you get too comfortable, you get lax, man. A gift will ruineth the heart, meaning it ruineth the mind, man. And then you forget who your enemy is. And that's the problem with most of these Israelite women, man, especially the so-called Negro and Hispanic woman. Well, that would be the Israelite woman for the most part. All right? Because Esau he took away from Jake, for most part, especially the Southern Kingdom, the so-called Negro, the means of supporting and taking care of their family. All right? Then he set up systems that destroy them. Like a woman can get welfare and help and opportunity, but only if the man is out of the picture. So what does that do to the household? What does that do to the rank and file and the structure? And look what's happened to the so-called black and the Latino community. But now the beauty is it's starting to destroy the white community too. See, their own vices are starting to fall upon them. This is Psalm 69, verses 22 through 33. Let me read through this. Let their table become a snare before them, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. And that's what's going to happen. Let their eyes be darkened that they see not, and make their loins continually shake. Pour out thine indignation upon them, and let thy wrathful anger take hold of them. Let their habitation be desolate, let none dwell in their tents. For they persecute him that thou hast smitten, and they talk to the grief of those whom thou hast wounded. Add iniquity unto their iniquity, and let them not come into thy righteousness. Let them be blotted out of the book of life, and not be written with righteousness. But I am poor and sorrowful. Let thy salvation, O power, set me up on high. And I will praise the name of Yahweh with the song, and I will magnify him with thanksgiving. So that's one of the scriptures on the name. The name must be known and it must be praised. So if you call on Jesus Christ Jehovah, one of those aftermarket incorrect transliterations, you got no help coming. The name of the Father and the Son is Yahweh and Yahushai. And those names must be declared and must be praised. This also shall please the Yahweh better than an ox or a bull that have horns and hoofs. The humble shall see this and be glad, and your heart shall live that seek Yahweh. For Yahweh heareth the poor and despise not his prisoners. So these prisoners that are locked up, man, that even to this day, man, some of them may be of the elect, man. And you have to look, the Most High hates the 2/3, but yet he still has an affection for them because they are Israelites. And he's going to let them die. And some of them die grievously at the hand of Esau or even at the hand of the Most High. But even when the 2/3 dies, the Lord is still going to require the heathen's blood for it, man. Because you put your hand on the apple of his eye, man. Ain't no getting around it, man. See, so, even a 2/3 man's blood will be avenged because he's still an Israelite, man. Israel deals with our own, This is Psalms 144:9. Keep me from the snares which they have laid for me and the gins of the workers of iniquity. All right? Verse 10. Let the wicked fall into their own nets while I withal escape. So when we out there doing this work, man, we're narrowly escaping some of the vices that they set up on us. All right? They sent a bunch of cops to surround, I think I was with Karab's camp a couple weeks back, man. And brothers was getting a little angry, a little hostile, man. But, I quickly agreed with the adversary, and we kept just condemning them. Then it turned and we started just going in on the cops, man. That video ended up being very, very edifying, man. But, but they were ready to swarm on us, man. And I could see that. I perceived that in the spirit. All right? It wasn't time to be the big bad Israelite and stand our ground. We stood our ground, but we just agreed with our enemy, and all we did was just shift over to the next place. They said the line we was on, we had to cross that line and teach on the other side, so we just taught on the other side. We kept on condemning them. They didn't shut nothing down, man. This is Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived, Yahweh is not marked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So you're going into slavery, Esau. All right? And yours is going to be way worse than all these horrible things that we read about. Yours is going to be way worse, man. All right? Let's finish this up. Furthermore, that could be lauded was engaged in by whites could result in convict labors for blacks. What was initiative for a white man would be impetus for a black man. Arguing or even question a white man could result in criminal charge. And law on the subjects as vagrancy, civil disorder, liens were effectively means of entrapment. So they would entrap Jake, and they still do to this day, man. Especially with this crooked judicial system, which speak a language legalese, man, which you sign your name to contracts and things which allow them to get you caught up in the web of their law system, man. I wish that I knew that law stuff, you know, and I've been watching a lot of different videos, you know, about the UCC and how to use your signature and use to write off your debt and all that sort of thing. But that's it requires, and I know it works because I can see the end result of it. But that requires a lot of study, man, and the end is near anyway. What's the point, man? This place is finished. All right. It says the judicial process contributed as well in South Carolina in 1901. For example, 80% of blacks who were arrested were convicted, in contrast to 60% of whites. For every white arrest, 4.3 blacks were. Wow. That 1 year, for every 306 in the population was convicted and sent to prison, while the proportion of whites was 1% to 856. So that means these white people were committing a lot of crimes, but they would just put it on the Negro and send them to jail, man. All right? Quick scriptures. We're going to finish it out. This will be the end of 3. And we're going to read Colossians. Where's Colossians? Corinthians, Romans, Colossians, around here somewhere. There we go. Small book, turn right past it. Colossians 3 and 25. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done. And there's no respect of persons, man. So Esau, you're going to get it, man. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Um, 6 and 9. This is 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind. All right, so it's a wrap on the wicked, man. Okay, Romans 2 and 6. Romans 2 and 6. Who will render to every man according to his deeds? So according to your deeds, man, you're going to get rendered that recompense and that punishment, man. All right. So with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. And I'd like to say all praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know, and salutations to you Akim out there that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking your lives and freedom to do so. And, you know, and just hold on, brothers and sisters. The, you know, our rest is coming. Shalom.